Why was John the Baptist asking who Jesus is? My brothers and sisters, I come to you this evening from the shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe in Des Plaines, Illinois, where I'll be spending this year's Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe, assisting the priests here. But there's a good question in our gospel reading today for the third Sunday of Advent. Why is it that John the Baptist is asking who Jesus is? In reality, my brothers and sisters, I think this question wasn't just for John. I mean, he's in prison, but he's the greatest of the prophets. He knew who Jesus was. This question was meant for his disciples. Because remember, he sent the disciples to Jesus to ask the question. And it's almost like Jesus picked this up, because Jesus' response is really meant for them. Look at everything going on. Look at all the miracles. Look at all the ways that I'm fulfilling the Old Testament prophecies. In a sense, John the Baptist is living what he said earlier. He must increase, I must decrease. And part of that is John the Baptist sending his disciples to Jesus, that they might follow Jesus, who is the Messiah. My brothers and sisters, for us, so often, the Lord sends us guides, leaders, people who bring us closer to God. But everybody is meant to bring us closer to Jesus himself. It's a bad deal when people come to Mass just because of the priest, or just because of someone they know in the pew. Our faith should be rooted in Christ alone. But yet Christ sends us so many people who are other Christs, who witness to Christ to us so that we can come to grow in holiness, grow in our relationship with God. But ultimately, we're not called just to stay with that one person. We're called to be led to Christ. So too, in this season of Advent, is a time for us to purify our faith, that it may be rooted in Christ alone. But what's interesting here is notice the last line of the gospel. Jesus basically said that John the Baptist is less than the least in the kingdom of heaven. So that the greatest of the prophets is less than the least of those in heaven, showing us how far we all have to go. And of course, this is a great error of our age where so many people think that heaven is a bit of a joke and that we don't need transformation, we don't need to grow in our faith. Rather, we're good to go as we are. I think many people get the wrong sense of what the spiritual life is all about. St. John of the Cross in the 16th century tells us that faith, yes, is a set of beliefs, but faith also is a way that our soul is purified, grows in union with God. And quite frankly, the goal of faith is to darken the intellect, to darken the natural senses, so that our spirit may come alive. But John of the Cross is very clear to say that God's light in this world almost seems like darkness. And it seems like darkness to our soul, but yet it is the true light. John the Baptist here is leading his disciples away from him to the true light. And you can imagine at first, they're probably wondering, why should we follow Jesus? Why should we abandon John? But quite frankly, they're not abandoning John by going with Jesus. They're fulfilling everything that John lived for. I'm very mindful of how this past week we're celebrating Our Lady of Guadalupe. And of course, Mary is amazing here, because Mary is the one who's always leading us to Jesus. And this feast day of Our Lady of Guadalupe is Mary teaching us and guiding us that we may be prepared to encounter Christ in a life-changing way. We always say when it comes to church, come as you are, and that's true. But Mary takes us where we are and brings us healing, gives us a greater peace, a greater sense of discernment that we may be able to perceive Christ even more clearly and receive more of the graces that he is offering to us because we've been prepared, because we've been transformed. You look at behind me, the shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe here in Des Plaines is a place of encounter for so many people. And on face value, it's an outdoor sanctuary. But to so many people, it's a place of encounter with Mary. And for each of us, my brothers and sisters, on face value and earthly value, so many things that we do seem so ordinary. For instance, the Eucharist looks like bread, tastes like bread, feels like bread, but it's not bread. And this is where we need Jesus to intercede and come to us, to open up our spirits, to transform our souls, that we may see the true light that is all around us. So I encourage you, as we celebrate this third Sunday of Advent, getting ready for Christmas, which is coming very, very soon, let's really be mindful of what faith truly is for us. Faith is really directing us closer to Christ. It is us leaving the good things that we've known, the beautiful experiences of faith, but leaving those in order to counter Christ in a new and greater way. And I just want to encourage each of us to be courageous in these coming days, that Jesus may lead us farther than we possibly could have imagined. And quite frankly, that Jesus will put people into our life who can be like John the Baptist, who lead us further, knowing that everyone in this world is less than the least in heaven, because God has so much more in store for us after this life. God bless all of you. Magnificat anima mea Dominum. My soul magnifies the Lord.